Good morning. Monday morning, September 13th. Welcome, everyone. Let's see who is the first name that appears on my screen this morning. Janisa, good morning to you. Welcome. So faithful. I have to admit, it is a slow morning for me. I am when I have a full weekend. Monday mornings are slow. I still feel like I'm shaking out the cobwebs this morning. Beautiful morning though. It's cool. Mike and Joe Stromberg, welcome this morning. Really enjoyed that homemade ice cream yesterday, Mike. If you're watching, or I'm not sure if both of you guys are watching, but enjoyed that last night. Barbara Richardson, welcome. Deanne Fine, good morning. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different this morning than than hitting. I do want to stay in the Proverbs for a while, and we're gonna continue in that. But this morning I spent the time that I had in reflection on the weekend, and I just wanted to bring out some practical examples today about measuring progress in my own spiritual emotional development and how I do that. Jeremy and Wendy, good morning. Daryl and Suzanne, good to see you guys this morning. So I thought I would just be a little vulnerable with that, and hopefully that is an encouragement today. Carmen, good morning. I'll wait just a couple more seconds here, let some more names show up that I know often do. I'm sure this morning came pretty early for the Paras this morning, who probably are on their way to school when you guys listen to this later on this morning. So after a full weekend, probably Monday morning going to school comes a little early. Debbie King, good to see you. Don Hoverson, Jim and Kathy Fuente, good morning. Jake Para, I just wanted to say once again, proud of you for taking that step of faith and getting up there and being baptized, revealing your faith, rather, to everyone there. What a great day. There's my mom, good morning to you. So to all the families who are likely going to watch this live stream later, because you're getting kids around for school this morning, welcome you. And anyone who watches later in general, I always want to give a shout out to you. There's many more who watch later than right here at 7 a.m. So this morning, just to review, I'm going to I'm not going to do Proverbs this morning. We will continue that, but I just want to give you a recap of my weekend. Not that it's my weekend is important, but there was some certain significant events happened over the weekend that I think are just that are indicative of employing the things that we are talking about with regard to regular spiritual and emotional growth, and to measure that progress, to stop and to say, hey, here is some progress that you can observe in your life. It's important to stop and evaluate. I do this at least once a year. I do this also with regular stops along the way in the year as they seem appropriate. And this morning, just because of a full weekend and everything that was happening, I was more reflective today, and so I'm going to offer that. So so let's look at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's how I'm counting my weekend. I have Fridays off, so Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is a work day for me. And so, but I'll count it all as my weekend. And how I think that what I'm trying to communicate is, how do you measure your own progress? How do you measure your own sense of self-awareness, to know your own temperament, to be comfortable with that, and as you move and navigate the things God calls you to do. So a few observations. Friday, Friday was the day that Martha and I set aside to enjoy an extended rest. Okay, so our weeks are very full, Sunday through Thursday. And all day, every day, normally, and each evening, there's usually something planned, either regularly scheduled or a meeting or something. We have very full weeks. And though we connect very regularly during the week, we don't have oftentimes extended times of long conversation which require uninterrupted time. And so Fridays, we try to, or it depends, Fridays or Saturdays, one day during our 2-day weekend, we try to set aside extended time just to have a very slow day and connect with one another as a part of building our relationship and so on. And I make that observation as in connection with those of us who are going through the Emotionally Healthy series, in this case, the Emotionally Healthy Discipleship book. But all of his books, he talks about making sure you're setting aside a Sabbath rest. Well, I'm not really good at that, but I do set aside a significant time. I see the values of resting and connecting relationally with Martha. So we started out Friday, setting aside that time, and I was really looking forward to. I had so many things I wanted to share, so many things in my heart that I was really anxious to kind of walk through long conversation with Martha. And we decided, first thing, we were going to walk down to Main Street, and walk through kind of a back way, a roundabout way back through. I live in Jackson, so we were going to walk all the way down through back roads of Jackson and back coming up through Main Street. We're going to stop at Blue Door Bakery and pick up some morning buns and a loaf of sourdough bread and so on. And so I was really looking forward to this, and I thought we were going to have this great walk in the cool of the morning and just talk and just connect. I was really looking forward to it. Well, as we were walking, what we were really doing was looking at all the houses in the neighborhoods we were walking through and commenting on, oh, that one got painted, and oh, I like this yard, and oh, this tree, we should, or this plant or this garden. We were just making all these observations about all these things, and I was trying to engage in a deeper conversation, but it was constantly being interrupted by observing houses and paint jobs and things we like about architecture or whatever. And so it was I was getting a little irritated, and it was becoming apparent to me that we had two clearly different expectations about the walk. Now, if you've been listening to this live stream over the last almost 2 years now, I covered expectations and the 4 qualities that validate, this is a reasonable expectation. And one of them, a couple of those qualities is, that they've been communicated. This expectations have been communicated. And another one is they have to be agreed upon in order to be, legit, to qualify as a legitimate expectation. Neither of which we had done prior to our walk. I had my uncommunicated expectation. We're going to have these great, long, deep conversations. I was so anxious to do it. And Martha had an expectation of, we're just going to enjoy the scenery and talk about just enjoying the walk. And so I had to employ those tools in the first part of that walk to say, you know what? I did not communicate my expectation, and Martha clearly has a different expectation. I need to roll with this. And so I had to apply the tools in my life so that I wouldn't get uptight in that morning walk. And so I kind of shift and adjust my expectation to really enjoy it. And we really had a great time. And after we got back to our house, then we had the long, extended communication time. And so I was able to enjoy that. We both obviously did. And so that was the first observation from the weekend, is adjusting expectations, utilizing the tools of understanding what makes a valid expectation, applying that to a situation, and kind of derailing something that could have gone wrong because I had a false expectation. I was able to roll with it and adjust. Okay, so second observation of the weekend was Saturday. So if we do a rest day on Friday, we have a project day on Saturday. That's kind of our routine. And then so Saturday was this long project that we had on the docket for a long time. We were waiting for the weather to cool down a little bit because it involved laying these large flat stones. I don't know how many we had, 50, 60 of them. We were going to lay them, create a border between our lawn in our backyard and the flower bed, our rose garden part that is, if you know what our house looks like, we have a long deck in the back, and we were going to do this as a border. And it was going to require a lot of physical labor and a lot of mental decision making. So we had agreed that was the day we were going to do it. I was going to do the grunt work of digging up the ground, making it soft so we can move dirt around and place them so they're all flat, because they're different widths, and so you had to make sure the tops of them are level. But then because they're all natural stones, they don't just fit together naturally. But you have to lay them all out and kind of decide how you want to lay this run out so it looks like it fits as naturally as possible. And Martha's much better at that. She loves to do puzzles at our house and so on. So we had agreed that we would work together, but she would kind of be the final say on how things fit together. And it was getting hot, and we were doing that. I was getting tired, and clearly our standards were different as to what looked good. I'm like, this is great. She goes, oh, I don't think I like it. Let's undo it and redo it. And about the fourth or fifth time we were undoing and redoing, she goes, so what do you think of that? I just said, I don't care. And that was the wrong move. Because she goes, what do you mean you don't care? And all of a sudden it erupted into, we had to stop our project. We walked inside the house, kind of got a drink of water, and we talked it out. So here's the second observation of the weekend about spiritual growth, emotional growth. So I avoid conflict. I have a withdrawing personality. When I get overstimulated, and conflict is a very high stimulation for me, I withdraw. There's nothing wrong with those things, but I've learned emotionally that it's not helpful in a relationship. I have to stay engaged. How I usually handle that when I get in those situations is, in an unhealthy way, I would withdraw and not re-engage. I would be defensive. This is not a big deal. You need to get over this. You're being too sensitive. I put all the responsibility on Martha. There was a third way anyway, I'm not historically, work through disagreements in healthy ways. But I've really been learning and working on that to stay engaged and so on, to recognize that Martha and I work through things differently. She's more of an assertive, let's work this out right now. Me, I need to pull back and reflect on it. And what's my part? What's your part? When the conflict is happening, I get way too overstimulated and I can't think straight. So trying to come into a happy medium. Well, we were able to work through that without giving you all the details. We were able to work through that beautifully. I was so excited, actually, that was like, wow, we had a conflict and we both worked through this in a really healthy, good, it felt good, by the time we got through it. And we were able to go back out in the yard and finish our project and work together. And it was great. So I know many of you probably identify with this. And so this is why I'm saying it's important to stop and make observations about how we're growing, how we're actually employing the tools we're gathering to be the kind of people that have this trajectory of growth, both spiritually and emotionally, because it affects everybody around us, how we interact with one another. And the people who recognize it most are the ones who are closest with us. So if you're married, that's your spouse. If you're not, your close group of friends or your coworkers that you see every day. How are we employing these tools? And I'll give you one last example. It was yesterday. We had a wonderful day, but it was a very long day for me. My temperament is introverted, so I spend all my energy. I don't withhold anything on a Sunday morning. I give it all to interacting with people and teaching. And I'm doing the 9 a.m. hour and our 10:30 service. And we had a baptism yesterday. All great. But what it left me pretty emotionally drained by the end of the day, and just kind of basking in the glory of the day, but so tired. And but it was also, we had our evening in the park. So I'm like, okay, Mark, you just need to go there and just turn it on, connect with as many people as possible, because that's what I really want to do, but I'm emotionally feeling low. And I get there, and there's this whole other group out there in the field playing this big cornhole tournament. I guess they do this every Sunday night, but they don't do it with reservations. We had a reservation. We paid for the field. We had planned to use the entire field for softball. And Dana, has already talked to them, but, they said, oh, we're going to be here all night. And maybe a solution is that we just share the field and you play while we're out here in the outfield. And I'm like, people are coming here to play softball. I can't imagine a softball not going over there and knocking somebody in the head because they so I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, well, Dana, this is your thing. Good luck with that. I don't have the goods to do this today. I just came to relax and enjoy. I'm not going to go confront somebody, me, Mr. Non-confrontational, right? So, Steve and Sierra, who were going to be leading the softball, they hadn't arrived yet. And I'm just thinking through this scenario going, come on, Mark, you're going to put this on Dana? Are you going to announce this to Steve and Sierra when they arrive? Hey, you guys need to handle this. All right, just man up and go out there and confront them, right? Not be weird about it, but it required me to call up my emotional reserves, which I had few of at that moment. Go out there and say, hey, we've got this field reserved. We've paid for it, and we're going to play softball here. And I don't feel good about playing softball with you guys in the outfield simultaneously. I don't see that going very well. But I want to work out a way that maybe we can both win. I don't want to just boot you off the field. So how can we come to a mutually beneficial arrangement? And we worked that out. So we just kind of shifted our schedule around and compromised a little bit. They compromised. They ended their tournament a little early, and we were able to do both. But I say that as an example of how we need to take the tools, see how we're employing them in our life, and then stop once in a while and say, and celebrate. Hey, these things are working. I'm really actually enjoying life at a different level because I'm working hard on these tools. And that's really what even this morning devotion is about, is this ongoing stimulation of trying to hear from God, His Word, and apply it to our life in a very meaningful and authentic way. Now, those of you who were at the picnic last night, I may have been one of the first people to call it a night. So I hope you're all gracious with that. But I also know my own limitations, right? So, and I'm exhausted this morning, but it was such a good weekend. I'm thankful to the Lord. I'm thankful for the people that I got to enjoy this weekend. And that was only little slivers of my weekend. It was really, there's so many other things I could talk about, but for the span of our time, I wanted to bring up those three scenarios to give an example of employing the tools we're developing and measuring our growth. So anyway, Lord bless you all today. Thank you for listening to my reflections and ramblings. We'll be back in Proverbs tomorrow morning, and we will see you then. God bless.